So in this video, we're looking at 3 exponent rules. The first one that we're looking at is called the power rule. When you have 2 like bases being multiplied, you are going to add exponents. So you have x and x. Notice 2 of the same bases turns into xa plus b. Same thing with division. So if you have 2 like bases being divided, you're going to actually subtract them. Now it matters in order, so you have to do top minus bottom. So a minus b. And then the other one says if you have a negative exponent, you move it to the opposite floor. So if it's on top and it's negative, move it to the bottom. If it's on the bottom and it's negative, move it to the top. Notice the only thing that changes is the exponent. So it went from negative a to positive a. So here's our first example. Example 1 says x to the 6 times x to the negative 2. So I have 2 like bases being multiplied, so I'm going to add the exponents. So I have 6 plus negative 2. Base stays the same. X to the 6 plus negative 2, that gives me x to the 4th power. So that would be your final answer. Again, 2 squared times 2 to the 5th. So I have like bases being multiplied, which means that I'm going to add exponents. And then I will have 2 to the 7th. So those are your 2 answers. Next one, I have like bases being divided. So the property says if they're like bases being divided, you're going to subtract top minus bottom. Now notice that number then goes on the top. So once you subtract, the number goes on top, which will give me 2 to the 2 power, or 4. If it's going to be a small number when you multiply it out, go ahead and multiply it. I will accept either answer. Hawks will want you to multiply it out. So again, I have y to the 7th over y squared. So I have like bases being divided, so I'm going to subtract y to the 7 minus 2, which is going to give me y to the 5th power. All right, next one, a little more challenging. I now have numbers and letters. So numbers will always act as like terms. So you're going to do the numbers first, and that just says negative 12 divided by negative 2. So that is positive 6, regular 6 on top, and then you're going to do the letters. Y to the 5th divided by y third, that's going to be subtraction. So you have y to the 5 minus 3, which will give you y squared, and the 6 will just fall down. So there is your final answer. All right, next one. This has to do with the 0 power. So anything to the 0 power is always 1. So x to the 0 always is 1. So I have x to the 0 turns into 1 plus 2 times y to the 0, which turns into 1. So I have 1 plus 2 times 1. Well, order of operations says you do that first, which will give me 2. And 1 plus 2 gives me 3. So your final answer is 3. Last one, a little more challenging. I now have 2 variables and a number. So there's nothing to combine with the 3. There's no other number, so that 3 is just going to stay in the answer. I have y's that are like terms, no x's, no like x's, so the x squared just stays. Well, I have y to the 1 over y to the 3rd, so I have y to the 1 minus 4, which will give me y negative 3. Carry everything down. Now, I have a property that says negative exponents, then I can move to the bottom. So I'm going to take this thing and move it to the bottom, and that's going to make it positive. Your answer always has to contain positive exponents. So 3x squared is not negative in terms of the exponent. The exponents are not negative, so it stays on top. And then y to the 3rd is going to move to the bottom. And so that will be your final answer.